Hey everyone, Reaper here again with another video. This time it's a new series highlighting some really cool copper and modern age books. These are just some books I think are pretty cool to have in your collection. Maybe a lot of you already do. And I wanted to take a little break from showing some Silver Age and Bronze Age books, although I understand some people could they always like seeing those type of books. I do too. But I just wanted to focus a little bit more on some Copper Age and mainly more modern books that I think are really nice to have. So we'll start off with this one. The Amazing Spider-Man #1. This is from 2014. I believe this is the cameo of Cindy Moon, who is Silk. You know, a lot of those characters like Silk and Spider-Gwen, as we know, have been very popular for several years. And in this book in particular, I honestly don't even know how I got it. I don't know. This wasn't a free comic book day book, was it? I don't know. Maybe it was. But anyway, it's been picking up a lot of steam this year. So it's definitely something cool to have in your collection, and it's a pretty cool modern book, right? Introducing, or at least in a cameo, of a new character that probably is going to be going a lot of places in the future in the Marvel Universe. Now, here's another book this one was gifted to me by Tony Toth, and this was a free comic book day book. Here we have The Umbrella Academy. This is the first appearance of The Umbrella Academy series on Netflix. I haven't watched it yet. I'm really lazy when it comes to some of these things, like shows and movies to watch. They sound interesting to me, and I say, yeah, I'll get to it, but I never do. However, the concept for The Umbrella Academy is very cool, very X-Men-ish. So it's another cool book to have. And another book from the modern age. Here's another one. Creatures of the Id. This is the first appearance of Madman. It's another book, it might have been on I'm pretty sure it was on one of my underrated series. Sometimes not really acknowledged. A lot of these books like this, and even some of the ones that I've just shown, in particular, Amazing Spider-Man 1. A lot of these books people pay no mind to until they hear that a new movie or a new TV series is coming out. And especially with the book that I got right here, which is, again, Amazing Spider-Man #4 Ultimate Original Sin. This is, I believe, the first full appearance of Cindy Moon, who is Silk. This book in particular, along with the Amazing Spider-Man #1 from 2014, these books you could have purchased for a while for very cheap. I purchased this from I believe, New York Comic Con. Back in 2014 it was. I think that was my very first New York Comic Con. I believe that's when I brought this one home. And these were $20 all day. Both this version and the variant version. I actually missed the boat on getting that variant version. The guy I bought that from, he says, I also have the variant version. It's the same price, $20. I was like, not being very much into variants. I said, let me get this. And that was it. Made a big mistake. Probably should have bought a couple of those copies. But again, for even years after that, those books were relatively cheap. Again, with 2020 and maybe even the end of 2019, these books started to see a rise in value, rise in price, rise in interest. So, I don't know. Still, again, like with the subject of this entire this new series, very cool modern to have. Here's another one that I think has been picking up steam, and there's a ton of variants on this. I would like to get a couple of the variants on it. Some of the covers are quite cool, but anyway. The Sentry #1, the first appearance of the Sentry. I've heard that this character is Marvel's answer to Superman. I don't know. It's very hard to compare any character to Superman. I know people compare the Incredible Hulk to him, but I think there's real no comparison to Superman. He's just so iconic, and I think he's, although not really a character that I'm overly interested in, but I cannot deny how iconic and how unmatched he is in the superhero world. Yes, you could throw your Incredible Hulks at him and Sentries and all that stuff, and that's cool. Those characters are obviously very cool, but there's really no comparison to Superman. But anyway, I've heard that comparison. You know, the way I hear that Moon Knight is Marvel's answer to Batman, one of those. I've heard the Sentry is probably the closest to Superman in the Marvel Universe. Okay, we have Vengeance, #1. Now, this is the first appearance, I think, of America Chavez. Now, the reason why I bought this book is because of the killer Magneto cover, and it wasn't until afterwards I found out that it's the first appearance of America Chavez. Now, this book, when I purchased it, wasn't going for that much, very much like Original Sin 4, Amazing Spider-Man 4, whatever it is. You know, for a while, I think this book was, you know, about $20 and stuff like that. And then I think this year, there might have been some talk of it last year, it started to increase in value again because Marvel is focusing on a lot of those female characters like Kamala Khan, Spider-Gwen, Silk, and America Chavez. So there's always that option that they're going to appear in a video game, or the belief that they're going to appear in a video game or an animated series on Netflix or in a movie. So a lot of people are paying attention to them. And again, it's another cool modern to have. Here's another modern book that's really cool to have. Iconic cover, of course, in the Detective Comics 880. You know, everyone, you know, loves this cover, jock cover. I like it a lot. It's very iconic. It's the type of cover you see on T-shirts that you get at Hot Topic. You know, I think once you make it on a T-shirt from Hot Topic, you're very well known in pop culture, right? Of course, the Joker's very well known anyway. So that's another really cool one to have. Here's another one. This one's from the Copper Age. Okay, early Copper Age. Here we have Kamiko Primer #2. I always sing praises for this book. The character Grendel makes his debut in this. I think another character too. Ardent, I think his name is. Forgive me if I'm wrong on that. I mainly focus on Grendel. Tremendous book to have. You know, it's another one of those characters that, you know, the book is kind of pricey. And I bought this at the New York Comic Con back in 2014. That was my main goal, to walk out of the New York Comic Con with this book. You know, someone like me who really likes collecting Spider-Man and EC books and X-Men books, I went to the New York Comic Con with the sole purpose of making sure, I wanted other books, but making sure that I walk out with this book. Doesn't make too much sense, right, for an independent book. But no, I've always loved Grendel, and I always wanted to get a nice copy of it, and this is a very nice copy. And like I said, it's kind of pricey, and it's something to consider getting, you know, because as TV and all these other things start investigating these other characters, like, you know, with Usagi Yojimbo, the Albedo 2. I made a whole video on that book, and that's a book that should be in one of these series. But I'm not going to put it in because it's worth several $1,000s. You know, yeah, of course it's cool to have because of the character and the value, but not many people can get that one, especially now. I was fortunate enough when I got it, and like I said in the videos. The video I dedicated to it, that a lot of people were telling me, oh, that book is not worth getting, you know, it's a very niche character, and, you know, it's definitely not worth getting. Well, see how that one turned out. But that's all it takes, though, for a character like that, and of course the rarity of the book. But here, this one too, it's not necessarily rare. I don't think it's necessarily rare. I think it's a little bit of a low print run, but I don't think by a whole lot. But it's definitely something that if Grendel's announced in a Netflix show, animated show, whatever, it's definitely one of those things that's going to spike. But even on its own, without those announcements, it's a really nice book to have. Last three, you know, this one's another one that seemed to have spiked. It's Copper Age, 87, right? Copper Age. I think the Copper Age lasted till 92, if I'm not mistaken. First full appearance of Venom. I've showed this book in many of my videos. Very cool to have. And as of 2020, late 2020, this is definitely a book that spiked. I mean, out of nowhere. You know, for a while after the movie Venom had come out, yeah, it was kind of dormant. As same thing with New Mutants '98. You know, there was big interest in Deadpool and all that stuff, and it spiked up, and then it sort of softened, just like that one. Well, this one just started to explode again. I don't know why. Maybe it's because Venom 2 is coming out next year. I don't know how much Deadpool 2 helped New Mutants '98, so I don't know. But regardless of all that hype, the specking on the book, you can't deny that the cover is classic, the artwork is classic, and the character Venom is classic. Here's another good one to have. You know, this one's probably been beaten to death too, just like the last one. First appearance of Harley Quinn. This was one of the first books I started to get within a year of me coming back to the hobby, and it's really cool. Harley Quinn is very, very popular, as we all know. Still remains popular. I don't know. This book, I think, softened a bit, like with the New Mutants I was talking about, but it's still very good to have for Harley Quinn fans. And she's almost like Deadpool in a way, right? Isn't she often compared to DC's answer to Deadpool? Sort of. And the very, very last one, again, another book that just shot up, and another book that I regret not getting more copies of when I first picked it up. I first picked this up for $20 several years ago, and and very high grade too, and I regret not getting more of them. But anyway, here we go. Ultimate Fallout number 4. First appearance of Miles Morales. Yeah, I mean, it's no shock that Miles Morales has become really popular. But again, it's another one of those books that for several years was very affordable. You know, I think up until a couple of years ago, you could get a really nice copy for under $100 and all that. Now this is a $500 book. $500 book, depending on the grade. Very desirable, very expensive. Now I know that a lot of people are starting to go crazy. What is that, from Marvel Previews '95, where Miles Morales supposedly made his cameo appearance? I don't know, but Marvel Previews '95, '94, whatever it is. People paying ridiculous amounts of money for that. To each his own, is what I say. But aside from all that, a lot of these books, like I said, there was mainly more moderns in here than copper. In future videos, I'll probably have a little bit more copper than modern, and really mix and match it. But these books are pretty cool to own, and if you're lucky enough to have them in your collection for some of the ones that are more expensive than others, like the Miles Morales and the Harley Quinn and all that, good for you. But there are some that are more affordable, like the ones that are like about $200, $150 if you have them, or if you're interested in buying them. They're worth getting, I think, in my opinion. Well, thank you for watching. Hopefully you'll watch some more of these videos. Like I said, I should have a couple more of these to come out. It's probably not going to be a long-standing series. But share in the comments some moderns or coppers you think are really worth having. Might appear in another video. Take care, everyone.